Welcome to California Life Podcast. Today, it's an exceptional day for me because I'm joined by the living legend, the man, the myth, Mr. Robin Shou. Mr. Robin, thank you so much for coming
Oh,
to our podcast.
thank you for the kind intro. I am living. So I don't know about the legend part, but I am living.
Living legend, that's what I'm saying, the living legend himself. Mr. Robin, how are you today? I know we've discussed a little bit. You're in some sort of renovations and you promised to engage me in helping you. How is your day going and what's new in your life?
Well, I mean, things been going great. Like I've been renovating my house. Actually, I've been building my house for the last 2.5 years, and I don't have a contractor. So a lot of time, because I'm a control freak, so I want to make sure everything is done the way I want, and also the cheapest as possible. I mean, I like good stuff, but I just don't want to pay for it. So, but anyway, things are going good. I just went to look at some floorings and all that stuff, and my tile just came. So it's a very exciting day. And of course, sitting here with you, I don't know what you're going to ask me, but I imagine it would be a very, very fun day.
Well, I'll do my best. It's our first interview for our first podcast. Obviously, I would like to have
Oh,
them
okay.
more
All
than
right.
one.
Okay, then
Um,
let me focus now since this is your. Okay, I'm going to be serious. Okay.
it's okay. We don't have to be.
Okay. Okay. All right.
We love humor. Mr. Robin, you impacted, you influenced, you motivated millions around the world with your film work and with your martial arts. What was the moment that you decided to go into martial arts? And I know you've started with karate, then you've done Chinese wushu. What was that spark, that moment, which made you dedicate yourself to this? It's a very difficult
No,
routine.
it's not difficult because my family came here in the early '70s, so I was
Mhm.
like 10 years old. I grew up here, and growing up here, it was fantastic. It's a free world, democratic world country, and but the one thing was missing was who am I? Where did I come from? Because at 10 years old, you don't really know anything about yourself, your background, your heritage, and so forth. So growing up, and also in that moment, like in the early '70s, was also the chain of Bruce, when Bruce Lee appeared, introducing a Bruce Lee. So then he's all pro-Chinese, and I go, yeah, he's pro-Chinese, but what am I? Who am I? I'm Chinese too, but I don't know anything. So I guess I started to look into like martial arts, like where did the martial arts come from, and then like Shaolin Temple. I mean, so there's a vast of history that I have no idea. So then I go, well, I think if I want to learn something about myself and my culture, I should get into martial arts. So then that's always been in the back of my mind. Of course, growing up as a teenager, you did the usual things and go out parties and all that stuff. But back of my mind, I always wanted to do martial arts, and so I had a chance when I was like to go to China. I was already in karate then because not knowing what I wanted to do, I wanted to do something, and then I saw the movie Shaolin Temple, with Jet Li, and I go, wow, that is Chinese. My goodness! So my school was Kempo karate, so they do a medium style because it's still an Asian style. So then they switched over, and we had a chance to go to China in '81, I think. And I said, yes, I'll go. And so then I just got really, really immersed into the whole wushu culture, and it's amazing. I mean, I feel um, if anyone wants to know anything about martial arts, China they sort of compulsory style the whole thing. Everything there's a proper form, but then they still consist of all different kind of animal forms. Amazing Tai Chi, traditional form, the drunken form, which I love. All the animal form and all the long fists, sevens. So they just kind of compile everything into wushu, which basically means martial arts.
Right.
So then, yeah, and then so the more I got into it, the more I learned about the culture, about the applications. So then, yeah, I mean that's how I really got started into the martial arts. And of course, beyond now, once you get to a certain level of martial art, you start looking to like, how is this gonna um, better my lifestyle, my thinking, my philosophy. So just kind of like veer into those different areas.
Right. Please correct me if I'm wrong. You and your family, you come from Hong Kong.
Yes, correct.
So you came to the US from Hong Kong, which Hong Kongese culture is different from mainland.
Oh yeah. Oh, totally different. We're a British colony,
Right.
so we have
Now,
peace. So
yeah, and also Cantonese cultures is different from the
uh,
mainland.
yeah, well, I mean, Hong Kong because it was so close to Canton, so there were a lot of Cantonese. But then I think after the Cultural Revolution, like the whole Mao Zedong era,
Hmm.
a lot of the northern Chinese sort of flee the communism, and so that's my family was part of that. So my mom and dad took everyone to Hong Kong. So I was born. That's why I was born in Hong Kong. They went to Hong Kong in '58, like before I was born, and
Right.
then that's when me and my younger brother was born in Hong Kong.
Right.
So then
So
there's actually a melting pot of like national Chinese, but then it's more of a Cantonese because we're so close to the Canton border.
right. And also it's the language, right? It's the Cantonese language in Hong Kong and the
Exactly,
writing.
exactly,
So
exactly.
you were born in Hong Kong in Cantonese and British culture. You moved to the US, you grew up in the US and American culture,
Right.
and now you went to mainland China to study wushu.
Sure. Yes.
How was that cultural difference to you?
Well, you know what? I felt home. I mean, it's bizarre because I've never been to China, right?
Right.
Because imagine this: you're in China, and it's like you're in a big old Chinatown 100 times.
Yeah.
You walk in, there's a lot of Chinese people here. So then you felt, okay, this is where I belong. So then, and funny thing is that we went to Nanjing, the city of Nanjing, to train, and that's where my dad was from originally. So it wasn't set up. It was just kind of coincidental that I went to Nanjing. So then I felt even more at home because once the people found out that my dad's from Nanjing, they treated me really, really well. And life was so much simpler back then. I mean, I don't want to sound like an old man, but life was simple in the 80s because it was still under, right now, China is like, more of a, you know, I don't want to say capitalist, like they're more of like doing business, making money. But back then, it was still very simple lifestyle. It's like
Right.
so everything was simple, So I love like there's no car. I mean, there's cars, but then there's more bicycle than cars. There's public transport, so everyone rode a bicycle. So I rode a bicycle, and then I went to like the noodle place, cost like 10 cents a bowl of noodles and steamed dumplings, and everyone was so polite. So then and I slowly learned how to speak Mandarin when I was there. So yeah, I felt really, really comfortable. Um, Now I went back to China again, like it's a cosmopolitan city. So
Right.
you're like, I feel like, hey, I'm in Los Angeles. This is not China. This is like America. It's the same deal. Because once you're there, they have like Louis Vuitton, they have Chanel, they have Gucci. They selling all these kind of name brands. And what am I doing here? I could be back home. So then the whole thing has kind of switched. So I have to say I have great memory back in the 80s when I was in China and learning the art. That's the best. Like you do nothing but train. That's all you
Right.
do. You wake up in the morning, eat breakfast, go train for 3 hours, and then you go home, eat lunch, take a nap, and train again. That's what I
Right.
did. Yeah. So life was really good back then. Yeah. So I didn't feel like a foreigner. I felt like I was pretty at home.
Well, that's very nice. So when you were training in China, what styles, what routines did you choose for yourself, and maybe you continue practicing them now?
Well, I mean, you have to learn all the compulsory style, like the long fist, the standardized short weapons, long
Hmm.
weapons, flexible weapons, and you have to pick a traditional form, meaning like long fist, that's compulsory, long fist. The traditional is like either eagle claw, drunken form, priya mantis, those kind of traditional form,
Mhm.
and then short weapon, broadsword, straight sword, double daggers, and all that stuff. And then you have the long weapon, spear, staff, and then you have the flexible, which is like the seven sectional whip or the rope dart, and so I chose long fist, and then for traditional style, I chose the drunken form because
Okay.
I'm sort of like the goofy kind of guy. I want to do something really silly. I say drunken form. I mean, I'm just as like I that was before I know anything about wushu. So the drunken forms sound really appealing to me. I say, wow, you can fight while you're drunk. Okay, I want to learn that. So then, so then I did like the broadsword. I also learned the straight sword. I did spear, chain whip, three sectional staff. So it was amazing. It was just because there's so much history in martial arts. So when you're learning a form, you're not just learning a form. You're learning all those years, decades of history. So I was so excited. I was really, really happy about that.
Right. Which styles do you practice now, and how is your Mandarin?
Well, my Mandarin's okay. I still can speak pretty fluent. I don't really practice anymore because I have my kids. They practice. Yeah, no time to practice. But I always say, like, as as a martial artist, is that the martial arts is just more than physicality, more than doing it. Martial art is in here, So then, yes, I still know how to do the forms, and I know all the forms, but it's almost like now I have sort of learned to a next level about martial art, meaning how to um, how to treat myself better, if that makes sense. It's just kind of how do I look at to have better outlooks for myself and to the world and to the other people. So in some ways, I am a walking martial arts, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah, of course. I do train in my mind quite often,
and
and
it's not the training of the mind; it's actually focusing
right,
on specifics of like the movement, meaning like you start asking questions like, why do I do that? And then so when I'm doing that, there's so much things involved doing just a simple blocking or just a waving of the hand, because you get to know, wow, my God, this is actually my hand, and I can make my hand move. You see how the connection, meaning your brain, your body, is just body and mind. So when they say martial art is a body and mind uh, style, or it's really a lifestyle. It really
right,
is, because now you start thinking, outside the box, like, I am really connecting with my body.
right. Well, if you'd had time right now, right, family aside and renovations aside, everything aside, what would you choose to practice?
Oh, Tai Chi, of course, because I was never good at Tai Chi because I
Oh,
never had the patience for Tai Chi.
oh,
My mind wasn't opened enough to do Tai Chi. And because, um, I've been in the movie business for a while, and the thing is that it's so competitive uh, in many ways. Not just getting the part, but you have to be in shape. You have to like overlook of criticism. Just so much involved. So I kind of felt I was slightly stressed with that. And then they say, "Oh, you're stressed. Do some Tai Chi. It'll open up." No, you have to mentally ready to do Tai Chi. Otherwise, you're not sure. I could go through the movement, sure, but then you're not understanding the way.
right.
But now after having kids, it's almost like, I don't know. Do you have kids, or
I don't.
you don't? Okay, so what happened is that a lot of time you kind of what you've experienced yourself, and then you try to teach your kids, like, one day you're gonna feel like this because of what you've done, the cause and effect. and they're not going to understand it. So then when they're ready, they will understand. So I think when I'm ready, I will understand in Tai Chi the movement, the form, and more of a meditation. Tai Chi is more of a meditation than, I mean, there's application, but it's more of a meditation. Again, it's the movement of body and being connected mind and body together.
Very true. Well, again, because Tai Chi is my main major,
Okay.
feel free to reach out. I'll
Oh,
do.
oh yeah,
Oh,
I love. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I really starting to appreciate watching Tai Chi because back in when I was doing all these like fast stuff and jumps and all that, like I was like, I didn't get it. My it wasn't my time to get it. But
right.
now it's almost like I watch every concentration of the mind, every they focus every second. And now the things that I don't just focus on all the movement, I see all the connections from head, neck, body, the core, the foot, the steps, the hand. They're all connected. And then you watch every section. It's almost like a little link. You move one spot and then that triggered the next movement and then triggered the next movement. So I see that. So I have a really deep appreciation of Tai Chi now that I'm older. So
Well, it's great to hear, and you've mentioned a couple of times you have kids. You're known as a really great dad and family man.
oh,
How do
thank
you
you.
believe? How do you believe martial arts helped you to become a great father, a great family man, and
Well,
role model?
as we all know, life is very challenging, right? Because not just because making a living. I don't mean making a living. Challenging meaning like, how do you find the purpose, right? I mean, that's finding the person because a lot of time you tend to get lost on why are we here? Why are we here? There has to be a reason why we're here. And that reason is usually because we're here to do good, right? So then because of martial art, I am so connected to the martial arts, meaning, like again, even if I'm picking the cup or all the action that I do, and I go, wow, why am I doing that? You start asking yourself, and then so you start understanding your kid, why are they doing certain things? And then all they need is just some understanding because they don't have the wisdom yet. And then martial arts really gave me that sort of wisdom. I don't know, just kind of just understanding about life, understand about the value. And then so you look at them, they're like a blank slate. So they have to learn everything else. So you can't really get mad at them. Although I do get mad at them when they're not listening, of course. But it's just that, I understand why they behave certain ways. So that's why the martial arts part gave me the discipline, the self-control, to be more patient and tolerable to my kids. So I think I'm a pretty good dad. Ask my kid, am I a good dad? Oh yeah, am I a good dad? No, yeah, I can't hear you. Yes or no? Sometimes. Sometimes.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Um, Mr. Robin, you've done quite a few iconic films in Hollywood, and well, I hope that we could have our next episode and we can discuss more about the Hollywood journey that you've
Oh,
experienced. But
sure.
um, again, back to the family. Hollywood is known for not being too family oriented, and a lot of families actually collapse when the parents, one or both, are shining in Hollywood. How did you manage to keep your family strong, have a beautiful family, healthy family, and being a star at the
Well,
same
no,
time?
easy. I quit the business. So because I believe that it's hard to not to take work home. It's very hard. Meaning, like, because, for example, let's say if I'm rehearsing for a role or a part and you have to get into uh, a character. mentally. So
Mhm.
then you sort of take on to all those obstacles, all the stress, all the frustration. And then so you, in order to understand that person. Now the thing is that can you just leave that behind and go home? A lot of time it's very difficult. So then you starting to like, bring some of those work home, and then and also our work, you have to study. You don't just go, I get the script, I learn my line, okay, I'm going to put it away, I'm going to go work tomorrow. No, you have to study. Meaning, again, you really have to dive in to the storyline. You really have to. Otherwise, you're not going to last. Meaning, like you're not gonna achieve anything. So then you really have to study. So then I imagine, because when I study something, I need to be alone, right? So then I have to be focused. I have a notepad. I have to write down, like, hey, what am I wearing? Why am I wearing that? Where did I come from? Before this scene, where was I? Because you got to carry that emotions to the next scene. So even though the script doesn't say it, but you have to create something.
Right.
So then all of a sudden, a knock on the door. Dad, can you help me doing this? No, I can't. I'm studying. And then, oh, but I need your help. I'm studying to make money so you can have your toys. So, but you see how, like, so not that you lash out kind of like on purpose. It's because you are so focused in your work. And I don't think I'm one of those guys can separate the work and family. So I just don't do work. I just left work, and then I haven't, and I'm pretty happy about that. Yes, I lost a lot of money, chances, but I think it's worthwhile. Like, because I have my family all the time, they're with me all the time. Um, I say we'll just take less trips.
Well, but you're a strong and happy and healthy family together.
Oh yeah, I mean, in the long run, that's all it counts. Really
Right.
seriously, because life is so short, right?
Right.
Um, I mean, my son is 11 years old now. I mean, the last 12 years went by just like that. I didn't work for 12 years. Can you imagine that? 12 years. That's a
Wow.
long time. But it
That is a
went
long
by
time.
just like that. It's a
Right.
long
Do you miss those moments of work at all?
time. Not really. I don't, because I mean sometimes I see a movie. I mean, I'm still a movie fan. I'm an action fan. Just like any ordinary person. I'm a martial arts fan, so I like to see action movie. I like to see drama. So sometimes I would watch a movie and says I could do better. So that's the only thing. But then I usually just kind of like brush that off. And then, nah, I don't have time for that. So I don't really miss it.
Have you shown your films to the kids and the family, and what was their reaction if you did?
know, um, my they have not seen the entire Mortal Kombat yet. They saw like little clips here and there,
Hmm.
and I think my son, when he was 5, you know how when you're a kid at 5, and then the teacher say, "Oh, what did your dad do?" And then, "Oh, my dad's on TV." Oh, really? Like, actors, and maybe I've seen some of his work, and and they say, "Yeah, he's always naked." So you see, I want to stop that. So yeah, no, they haven't really seen. They have not, and I don't really care, because like that's a life that that's a past life. I mean, I don't really. I mean, look at me. This is how I look every day. I mean, I'm dirty. I'm dirty too. So then, and I think after having a family, all the vanity sort of disappeared, because in the beginning of my career, everything has to be um, Deutsche Gabbana. Everything has to be Moschino. Or everything has to be Paul Smith. All those designer things. And now I haven't bought anything for myself in 5 years. So then I just wear like my workout clothes, my khaki pants when I work out. So I don't have um, any desire. I mean, of course, I'm not gonna neglect myself, but I'm just saying, like, meaning like I don't have that sort of. I don't really care about that sort of thing. I think my kids are more important. Is like, what do they get? It's more important
Right.
than what do I get.
Right, right. Well, I can totally relate to that. I don't remember when I was shopping, and I am not a fan of any brands because we're overpaying so
Right.
much. I would rather have a $2 T-shirt like yourself just mentioned. However, you worked on those characters, right? Especially the iconic the Mortal Kombat film. Um, as that character, but also being a father inside, what was your message to the audience who you inspired with your work?
Well, that was before kids. When I did the Mortal Kombat, it was before kids.
Hmm.
I mean, I back then, I just wanted to show the martial arts part because growing up in America, of course, Asian people have stereotypical, persona. So like we always like the nice guy, the mellow guy, who doesn't want to get in trouble, who doesn't fight for things, and so then I want to show Liu Kang, who's actually just a normal guy. Yes, don't get him upset because he will fight back, and also don't take things from him that doesn't belongs to you. And also Liu Kang has a principle. He is still, yes, it's an action movie, it's a fantasy action movie, but then he was seeking, like, fighting for the order of the world, and also seeking revenge in a way for his younger brother. He left the order because he doesn't like to be confined in a certain. He doesn't like rules. So then, being in the monk on temple, there's a bunch of rules that he doesn't believe in. He's just a normal guy, just like you and I. If someone said, "This is, you got to do this, and that, follow," and then that's it. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna do. I mean, I'm not gonna hurt people, but I'm not gonna, like, just kind of like do what you tell me to do. I'm gonna have my own mind and free thinking. So that's why I want to portray Liu Kang. I want to portray Liu Kang as just a normal guy. If you think about it, so he's not like some Chinese monk from Shaolin Temple. So,
Right. How much of yourself was in that character?
oh, that's totally all me. That is totally all me. Yes, we have a sense of drive. So I think we played it off really well, me and Lyndon Ashby. Like, we're
Right.
still best of friend now. I see him still. We still hang out. The thing is that he is. I don't want to say insecure. He's not insecure. He just has a lot of questions. He just asks a lot of questions, and then I don't ask a lot of questions. I do. I just go ahead and do things. So
Right.
then we're like a perfect team. So then we can just kind of go back and forth. So then, and Lyndon is such a nice giving guy. So he would come up with lines and say, "Well, how's that, Robin?" I said, "Oh yeah, that's a really great line." Like throwing his bag in the water. I mean,
Right.
he totally came up with that. I mean, so because, well, I mean, it was in the script, but the way he did it, he came up with that. I gave you money, you carry my bag, don't you get it? And then he had a comeback line. Boy, I'm glad you didn't ask him to park my car. So that is so. I couldn't keep it, like, I was laughing so hard. So I think I was really being myself because I'm a straight kind of person. I don't really go around things, so I speak my mind a lot. So pretty much I am that person.